bad leg. Right, here we go. That's a nice evening for it, actually. It's hunting a little bit, don't know why. Oh, goodness me. It's a warm one this evening. So, hello folks, it's been a little while since I've done a video. This is largely due to issues with my old bike, which, as you may well be able to see, is no more. I have replaced it with a Honda CB500. Now, some of you will likely remember that it's a bike I famously didn't like very much. In fact, I said some very rude things about the CB500. Idiot. Where was I? So the CB500 and why I bought it. Well, I realised after several months of the Royal Enfield breaking down at every given opportunity that it just wasn't a sustainable thing anymore. I was spending a good 30% of my earnings on keeping the bloody thing running. And the parts for Royal Enfields aren't always as simple as going out and buying some parts from the shops. It does tend to be a case of, oh, I need this part. I must now wait for about 7 months for it to turn up from India, and it might not turn up, and then when it does, it was for the 350 and God knows what else. It was a nightmare, and to be honest with you, if it wasn't for a company called Hitchcock's Motorcycles, I dare say it's unattainable actually running a Royal Enfield day to day. I don't know if the 650 twins are any better. I'd like to hope so, and I don't think they could be a great deal worse. Now, I loved my Royal Enfield dearly for 3 years and 22 and a bit thousand miles, nearly 23,000 miles by the time I gave it up. And those first 15,000 miles were pretty much faultless. Nothing really went that wrong with it. It hit 15,000 miles, all hell broke loose. The fueling system failed to the extent that it was all ripped out and a carburettor had to be fitted, which was quite expensive. Now that put the bike right, it got it working properly for a very short amount of time before the wheel bearings failed for the first time. In total it got through 2 sets of rear wheel bearings, 1 set of front. The cush drives went regularly. Chains, it actually snapped 2 chains in the time I owned it. And this is with regular sort of maintenance, the same way that you'd look after a bike, and anyone who knows me will know that I'm obsessive about taking very good care of my machines. It just doesn't seem to matter how well you took care of an Enfield, it would find a way of failing. Another issue is that it was very small. Now I am 6'1", and a lanky 6'1", if that makes any sense. And I just found myself very uncomfortable on it. And my ideas, my views on what I actually wanted to do on a bike changed a bit. It went from, when I bought that bike, being, haha, this looks cool and it sounds great and everything like that, to, actually I'd quite like to do that longer journey. Actually I'd quite like to go for some exciting adventure or ride 2 up. And you couldn't really do that on the Enfield. Yes, I had the pillion seat for it, but it didn't really work. It wasn't a happy bike to ride 2 up. These lights are annoying. Matte grey, that is disgusting. It wasn't a happy bike to be ridden 2 up. It would throw the handling off completely, and it just didn't have enough power for it. Then came silly little things like the brakes needed bleeding every couple of weeks because for some reason the master cylinder, it was the only thing I'd never got round to changing was the master cylinder, and that's simply because I ran out of can be bothered with it. And I know that sounds so lazy, but when you've spent that much time and effort on a thing, you just reach a point where you say enough is enough. And then I got thinking to myself, well, what do I actually need from a bike? Ideally, fuel economy would be nice. The Royal Enfield was getting about 35 to the gallon on the carburettor, which isn't good. So miles to gallon was important. Reliability was important to me, it really was. And it would have been nice to have a little bit more torque and a little bit more power. And then I thought back to when the Royal Enfield was first nearly written off, quite a long time ago now actually. It got reversed over, which I think I've probably mentioned in one of my previous videos. And it caused a huge amount of damage, blah blah blah, a long time ago. Anyway, 4 months it was off the road. And for those 4 months I had a courtesy bike. And that courtesy bike was absolutely identical in every way, shape and form to the machine you see me on now. Now the funny thing is, at the time I hated it. I said it was characterless, it was too slow, it was too this, it was too that. And you know what? All those things I said it was were just because I was angry that I didn't have my Royal Enfield. And I was motorcycling for a different reason. I must confess, I was motorcycling because I wanted people to look at me at the time. And I thought, hey, look at me, I'm cool. I'm not really about that anymore. I just want to ride. I enjoy it. It's nice. And so the CB offered, well, this particular one was on very low mileage, was not very old, it's a 2018 plate, so it's just turned 3. In fact, it had its first ever MOT literally about a week ago. And it had done 7,500 miles when I got it. You can't say much fairer than that. And it's just perfect. It's smooth, it's easy, parts are cheap and plentiful. Oh, what is going on here? I think the dealership are moving their automobiles around a bit. Oh, we have a bike behind us. Nope. Bloody hell. What is that? That's a CBR of some description. I think it's an either an F2 or an F4. That's an NC750. But the average miles to the gallon I'm getting on this are insane as well. If I'm just riding solo, so just me, I'm getting around 80 to the gallon, and 2 up it'll push around an average of 70, around about sort of, I think it's 76 point something, and that's sort of riding on all terrains and everywhere and motorways and God knows what else. That's absolutely astonishing coming from something that got about 35 to the gallon. It's like it uses no fuel. The handling is lovely as well. It's a very well thought out machine. It was between the CB500F and the CB500X, and in the end I found an F locally and affordably, part exchanged the Royal Enfield, and here we are now. So fingers crossed by the time I've edited this video up and everything like that, hopefully the camera won't have switched itself off and I've not just been